It's Coach Zach, head coach here at 24/7 Hockey, and most players, most average players, just kind of go with the flow, right? If a workout's scheduled, they go with it. If they don't feel like training, they go with it. If their buddies are taking the day off, they go with it. And they always just kind of go with the flow. But you, if you want to be elite, if you want to separate yourself from other players, then we need to set rules and standards for yourself that you follow no matter what. And the reason why we do this is because then you can rely on those. You can say, this is the way that I do things. It's not going to be the same way you do things. It's not going to be the same way that everybody do things, but it's the way that I do things. And that's going to separate you because now you've set a standard for yourself that's higher than other players. And if you follow that standard, if you stick to these rules, then you're going to notice yourself improving even more. You're going to notice yourself improving faster. You're going to notice that separation continues to get bigger and bigger between you and other players, but it's not easy. I promise you, following these rules is not easy. That's what makes it so effective. Real quick, before we get into these rules, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, hit that subscribe button below. We're constantly releasing new videos to help you take your game to the next level. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel if you're not subscribed yet. Rule number 1, schedule it out. Schedule your day, schedule your week, schedule your time. This is very effective because as a hockey player, as a student athlete, as an elite player, whatever you have going on in your life, it's going to be busy, but you need to prioritize your training. So look at your week or look at your days, plan out what you have going on, write it down, and make sure you're scheduling in your training, whether it's going to be one training session, whether it's going to be 2 training sessions. When are you going to fit that in? Stick to that. Ideally, it can be the same time every single day, but it's not always going to work out that way. So figure out what you want that schedule to be, when you want to train, when you're going to be able to train, what other sacrifices you may have to make, what are you going to have to give up to fit that training in if you don't think you have time. All right? Are you gonna have to get up a little bit earlier? Are you gonna have to stay late after practice? You're gonna have to show up early for practice. When are you gonna fit it in? Write that down, post it up on your wall so you have your weekly schedule up on your wall of what your main obligations are for that week, when your training is going to be, and then stick to that, all right? If it's written down, if it's on the schedule, you're a lot more likely to do it. I think we've all probably been there when you've told yourself, you've gotten up in the morning, you've told yourself, all right, I'm gonna work out today. At some point, I'm gonna train, okay? And then what happens? Life gets in the way, right? One thing happens, the next thing happens, the next thing happens, and pretty soon, you've ran out of time for the day and you don't get your training in. Do not let that happen. Schedule it out. Be relentless with your time. Prioritize your time the right way. Know that this is the most important thing that you can be doing every single day, and get it in that schedule and then stick to it. 2, don't skip more than one day in a row. All right, so if something happens, even though you have things scheduled out, it's not always gonna work out that way. Once in a while, something's gonna happen, whether there's a conflict, whether there's an emergency, whether you just end up not having enough time to train that day. That shouldn't happen very often, but it's gonna happen once in a while. But don't let it happen 2 days in a row, because what happens is that next day, now it's become a trend. Now you're accepting that this is okay. Now you're having your momentum go in the wrong direction. So no matter what, don't let a second day creep in where you actually miss your training, you actually miss your workout, all right? One day might happen once in a while. It shouldn't happen. I don't want it to happen. You shouldn't want it to happen. It should be unacceptable. But reality is that once in a while, maybe it's once a month, maybe it's once a year, whatever it is, that's going to happen. For some reason, you're gonna miss a day. Maybe it's because you're sick. Maybe it's because you had a family event that you had to attend, whatever it may be. But don't let that happen twice in a row. Obviously, in some cases of an illness or something like that, that might happen. But outside of that, don't let it happen twice in a row. 3, done is better than perfect. Talking about momentum here, right? The momentum is that you don't miss days, that you train no matter what. So getting it done is better than getting it perfect. So you might say to yourself, oh, you know, I don't have time to go to the gym. Oh, you know, this and this happened today. So now, I don't know, that's when I was supposed to work out. That's when it was on my schedule. Doesn't matter. Figure out a way to get something done. All right, go outside, do 10 sets of 10 of 100 squat jumps, stick handle for 15 minutes, all right? Do 200 push-ups, whatever it is, get something done that day. Even if it's not perfect that day, even if it's not the routine that you were supposed to have or the training that you were supposed to have, do something, because that keeps that forward momentum. Now what you're doing is you're teaching your brain and you're teaching your body that even on days when things don't go right, I'm still gonna get it figured out. I'm still gonna make it happen. And that's a powerful mindset to have. 4, push yourself out of your comfort zone consistently. Every single day, find a way in your training to push yourself out of your comfort zone. So what does this look like? All right, not only when you're doing your sets, when you're doing your reps, when you're going through different exercises, should you be working extremely hard? Should you be making sure you have the perfect technique? But figure out a way to make these workouts and make this training even harder so that you're pushing yourself harder than other players. All right, you have to push yourself harder than other players. If you're working just as hard as other players, then you're only getting as good as them, all right? And you have to find a way to separate yourself. So some ways to do this. Let's say you're doing a set of 10 or a set of 12. Make it 15, make it 20. Go to the point where you're pushing yourself extremely hard, adding more weight on than other players, all right? Making sure you're still obviously using proper technique, all right? Adding some more sets. If you do 3 sets, make it 4 sets, make it 5 sets, make it 8 sets. It doesn't matter. Figure out a way to push yourself harder every single day. Set that new limit of how hard you're willing to push yourself, all right? And then on rest days, you rest, you recover, you make sure you're taking care of your body, you make sure you're getting enough sleep, you make sure that you're eating right so that you can push yourself harder the next day. That's really the key when it comes to improving and separating yourself, is you have to get in that mindset that you're gonna push yourself out of that comfort zone, that you're gonna push yourself harder than other players consistently, and no one should be able to keep up with you. 5, do extra. All right, it kind of goes along with that last point, but not really, because here's the thing. You have to do extra every single day. This is when no one's watching you. This is when you're on your own. Maybe you're gonna wake up a little bit early working on your stick handling or working on your quickness. Maybe you're gonna stay late after practice when everybody else leaves and work on your shooting, work on your hands, work on leg strength, whatever your weaknesses are. You have to spend extra time working on those. This is when no one's watching. It's just yourself in an empty gym or an empty rink with the lights are off. It doesn't matter. Everybody else has left. No one else is awake yet. Whatever the time is that you're gonna do this, do extra. Train yourself to consistently put in that extra work every single day, every single week, and you'll be amazed on how fast you start improving and how much your game starts to go beyond other players. You start getting more ice time, seeing more results on the ice, making teams you didn't think you were gonna make. It's amazing how much this works when you spend time doing extra every single day. Those are the 5 hockey training rules that you should follow if you want to separate yourself from other players, if you want to hold yourself accountable for your own success and reaching your goals as a hockey player. Now, if you want to figure out what those weaknesses are that you should work on in your game and how to actually improve your weaknesses, go to freehockeyworkout.com. All right, freehockeyworkout.com. You're going to be able to take our hockey training quiz. All right, once you take your hockey training quiz, we're gonna figure out what those weaknesses are that you need to improve in your game, and I'll give you a step-by-step plan for how you can start improving those weaknesses and turn them into your strength. And this is gonna give you that insight and that training to be able to do extra. What should you be doing? How are you gonna be able to do extra every single day so that you can pass other players, so you can separate yourself from other players? So go to freehockeyworkout.com to get started with that. Now, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, hit the little bell icon to turn on the notifications so that you get notified every time we release a new video. We're constantly releasing new content to help you reach your goals as a hockey player, to help you make the team that you want to make, to help you stand out and dominate on the ice. Also, I want to hear from you. What is a rule that you think we should follow as hockey players to take your game to the next level? Do you have any rules for yourself that I didn't include here? All right, do you have any training rules, hockey training rules that you follow to make sure that you're training harder than other players every single day? Leave those in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video. Remember, elite hockey players aren't born, they're made.